So we're going to do something fun here today. We're going to do a conspiracy tier list. This particular tier list has a ton of different entries for conspiracies, and we're going to go through them one by one and place them in the tier list here. Now, how am I going to be rating these? Is there a certain type of criteria for this? No, just kind of whatever sounds right and feels right at the time. I'll go ahead and give my reasons for why I like or dislike certain conspiracies, and we'll throw it in the chart from there. So let's dive in. So this list is for the most part alphabetical, but if I see it fit to skip around, I might just do that. But with that said, first off, it starts with Alex Jones as Bill Hicks. This is an absolutely monster of a conspiracy, easily among my favorites. That isn't going to take much discussion. It's going to go straight to S tier. What I'll go ahead and do is give a brief 1 or 2 sentences about what each entry is. I went and go ahead and took the liberty and jotted out a short summary of each of these entries, both for my own sake, as well as any of the viewers that aren't necessarily privy to what these conspiracies are. So with that said, I'll go ahead and read out Alex Jones's Bill Hicks. The conspiracy theory claims that controversial radio host Alex Jones is actually the comedian Bill Hicks, who supposedly faked his death in 1994 and was transformed by the CIA into a controlled opposition figure to discredit legitimate conspiracy research while maintaining his distinctive performance style and mannerisms. Easily among my favorites, and there's a lot of evidence that points towards it being a realistic possibility. So outside of Bill Hicks just being among my favorite performers and creators of my lifetime, it's just a pretty fascinating conspiracy. Easy S tier for me. Bing, bada boom. On to the next one. Next is Alien Bubonic Plague. The Alien Bubonic Plague conspiracy theory claims that the Black Death of the 14th century was engineered by extraterrestrials as a form of population control or experimental testing on humans. Interesting. It's not a bad conspiracy. It's a little bit generic, a little bit kind of basic, but it's not a bad one. I'm going to go with a B tier. Not a bad one. Alex Jones S tier, Alien Bubonic Plague B tier. Next up, Animal Spies. Ooh. See, this one is definitely on the far more realistic side, but at the same time it's also linked. If you want to get further into it, you could even get into birds aren't real, which is a really fun conspiracy. But with it just being animal spies, it's kind of basic. So we're going to go ahead and leave that right at B tier, I think. Anunnaki, another big one. Here we go. The Anunnaki conspiracy theory proposes that ancient extraterrestrial beings from the planet Nibiru genetically engineered humans as a slave race to mine gold. Anunnaki is at the source of a lot of different conspiracies, and it's a very, very popular one. With that said, I think it's a little bit overdone. While there's probably a certain amount of legitimacy in all this, it's a little bit overdone for my liking, but it is a classic. Gosh, I don't want to get all of them in the center already, but I guess we're going to go with it. We're going to go with C tier for Anunnaki. Appendix Denial, an interesting one. Here we go. This conspiracy alleges that the medical establishment deliberately misrepresents the appendix as vestigial to justify profitable removals, while concealing its true importance as a critical immune organ that houses beneficial bacteria essential for health and possibly even harbors metaphysical properties. Ooh. I would probably have to go with B tier on this one as well. Appendix Denial B tier. Let's go. Next up, Aquatic Ape Hypothesis. This suggests human ancestors went through a semi-aquatic evolutionary phase, explaining traits like hairlessness, subcutaneous fat, and bipedalism as adaptations to water environments, with conspiracy adherents claiming this alternative to mainstream savanna evolution theory as deliberately suppressed by the scientific establishment. Ooh. It's not a bad one, but I think I'm gonna lean towards a little bit more on the boring side for me. Yeah, just we're gonna slap that into the D tier. We still got a whole lot to go, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on the not as interesting ones. Artificial moon, ooh, that is a good one. That is a good one. Artificial moon is going skyrocketing. Is it going to be A tier or A plus? Ooh, artificial moon is A plus. It's bordering even S tier. But artificial moon is A tier. Love this one. This theory claims Earth's moon is an engineered hollow structure or spacecraft placed in orbit by aliens, citing its perfect size for eclipses and unusual surface features as evidence, with some believing it serves as an extraterrestrial observation post that NASA and other space agencies have discovered but deliberately concealed from the public. Ooh, very good. Secret space agencies in general is a pretty fascinating topic. Yeah, we gotta go with artificial moon A+. It's up there for me. Atlantis. Now, Atlantis is another big one, obviously. But in general, geography kind of bores me. So I'm just gonna cut straight to Lemuria as well, because I'm pretty sure Lemuria is on here. And just identify both of those right now. There it is, Lemuria. So I'll go ahead and take care of Atlantis and Lemuria right now. Since I'm not personally into this kind of stuff, they're going into F tier. Geography in general has been very boring to me, so I'm going to go ahead and put both Atlantis and Lemuria down there. To each his or her own. If that's your jam, more power to you, but it's not for me. Next up, we have Black-Eyed Kids. Black-Eyed Kids has been around for a long time as well. To me, it's more along the lines of a creepypasta than a conspiracy. Like it's almost more paranormal than conspiracy. For some reason, I feel like there's a line to be crossed between paranormal and conspiracy, but I'll have to go with Black-Eyed Kids, Black-Eyed Children. We'll go with C, I think. That's probably... Oof. I might actually go with D. Let's read the entry and see where it takes us. The Black-Eyed Kids conspiracy theory describes encounters with pale children who have completely black eyes, who approach people requesting entry to homes or vehicles, causing inexplicable dread in witnesses, with theories suggesting they could be aliens, interdimensional beings, vampires, or governmental experiments disguised as human children. Ooh, scary. We're gonna go with D. We're going with D. It's kind of old wives' tale-y. It's kind of eh. Next up, the Bogdanoffs. The Bogdanoff conspiracy claims French twin brothers Igor and Grichka Bogdanoff possessed supernatural abilities to manipulate global financial markets and cryptocurrency prices with a single phone call, with online communities attributing their unusual appearances and scientific claims as evidence they had acquired alien knowledge or superhuman powers while secretly controlling advanced technologies. So the thing is, I do believe that there is something to be said about twins. Twin siblings do seem to have some sort of interesting connection that can yield interesting interactions and abilities. So with that said, I don't want to put it at F because I do find that interesting, but it is pretty low tier for me. We're going to have to go with D. I'm glad we're starting to fill out the bottom list of this, or the bottom part of this tier, because I was kind of worried that everything was going to be stacked up on the top because I enjoy this so much. But let's move on. Bohemian Grove Moloch worship. Ooh, a big one. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. This conspiracy claims that powerful elites gather at a private campground in California to participate in occult rituals, particularly the cremation of care ceremony, featuring an owl statue allegedly representing the ancient deity Moloch. Critics interpret this as evidence of secret pagan worship among world leaders, though attendees describe it as merely theatrical tradition within a private men's club. I believe that this is the one that Alex Jones, aka Bill Hicks, discovered, or not necessarily discovered, but blew the lid off of. He was able to sneak into this area and film this whole event many years ago. If that doesn't scream controlled opposition, I don't know what does. But regardless, as far as the actual conspiracy here, I think this is about midline for me. I think it's interesting. Sometimes if it seems too realistic, if it's like, oh yeah, they're definitely doing that, I'm like, it just bores me. It's like, oh, there's no intrigue, there's no mystery there. So I think with that said, actually we are going to drop it down a little bit, because it is of intrigue to me to a certain degree. I'm not going to go full F tier, but it's down there with it for me. Breakaway Civilizations. Secret elite groups are believed to have developed highly advanced technologies that allow them to exist separately from mainstream society in hidden locations, ranging from underground bases to off-planet colonies. These breakaway civilizations allegedly possess anti-gravity technology and free energy systems, while their origins are linked to post-World War II Nazi scientists, black budget programs, and wealthy banking families who supposedly hide these advancements from the public. Super cool concept. Super cool concept. That is way up there for me. But how far up there? That would have to be Breakaway Civilizations. That's truly a fascinating concept. I think it's going to have to be an S tier for me. Perhaps bottom of the S tier. I mean, it's just a really, really cool theory. I like that one a lot. It's exciting to me. It's fascinating that there could be something like that. And I don't think it's entirely unrealistic at all. Bush did 9/11. Seems pretty self-explanatory. Honestly, it's kind of a boring conspiracy. Maybe because it's so much... It kind of was done to death back around the time of the event. It was so publicized and so pushed, perhaps intentionally. It just got old and it got boring to me. So we're gonna go D tier on this one. Kind of boring, self-explanatory. Nothing really needs to be explained about it. Camera heads. This is another one that borders on the edge of creepypasta, paranormal, all of that, and not necessarily conspiracy realm, but let's read it anyway. The camera heads theory suggests that advanced surveillance technology has been integrated into synthetic humanoid agents who appear normal except for having cameras embedded within their heads, allowing shadowy government agencies to monitor citizens in public spaces without detection. These alleged operatives supposedly collect data by blending seamlessly into crowds, with their camera systems concealed behind realistic artificial eyes that transmit footage directly into intelligence databases. Interesting. Yeah, it's all right. I presume that's what this is. This doesn't... I guess this could be it here. As far as where this is located, camera heads, it's not... I'm not going to rate it too far down because it's kind of an interesting premise and it kind of has multiple layers with the surveillance as well as just the outright creepiness of it. So we're going to go with C. I think that's a safe C. Camera head, C, it's perfect fit. Let's go. Next up, we have chaos banking. This theory alleges that global financial elites deliberately engineer economic crashes and currency volatility to profit from market instability while consolidating wealth and control over struggling populations. Ooh, this one's a hot one. This one's pretty... Proponents claim these banking cabals orchestrate periodic financial disasters through complex derivatives, algorithmic trading, and hidden market manipulation that appear random but follow a predetermined agenda. This is a pretty cool premise to me. And it's got a lot of different layers and depth and complexity to it. So I would probably at least go B tier on this. It may even go A tier because it can kind of future-proof itself with the ability to move into crypto, or at least, that's what they want us to believe. But the ability to flex in and out of different markets and systems, that's pretty cool to me. And the amount of time and skill and foresight and advanced knowledge and planning, that is really cool. It's like a really complicated ARG, alternate reality game. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into these kind of things, and that's really fascinating to me. So we'll go with A tier. That's a pretty high one up there for me. Next up, we have chemtrails. This theory claims that the white vapor trails behind aircraft aren't normal condensation, but actually contain chemical agents deliberately sprayed by agencies for weather modification, population control, or human experimentation. Despite scientific consensus identifying these as harmless water vapor contrails, believers point to changes in appearance and persistence of aircraft trails as evidence of massive covert atmospheric engineering programs. Ooh, this has been around for quite a while. This was one of the first conspiracies I think I even learned about. I think when I was first learning about what a conspiracy even was, this was kind of linked to it. So with that said, it's kind of a big deal in my mind. I mean, personally, it's more of a plausible one to me, so it also is a little bit kind of more mundane and boring. So I think we have to go with B, but potentially a high B. I haven't really messed with the positioning of individuals yet, but we'll go top B for now. Top B placement. We like to see it. Charles Manson CIA. Ooh, okay. This theory suggests that Manson's cult and the Tate LaBianca murders were actually part of a mind control experiment conducted by the CIA through its MK Ultra program. They claim that Manson was trained in psychological manipulation techniques by government agents to create social discord that would discredit the counterculture movement and justify increased domestic surveillance. A deep psyop there. This is an interesting one. I'll probably have to put this one fairly low because it's not super. We'll go with high D on this one because it's not quite as interesting as these here, but it's definitely higher up than these. We'll go high D on that one. CIA drug trafficking, pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. I don't know, this is about as mundane and boring as it gets to me, honestly. This seems entirely too realistic and possible and something that we'd never be able to keep track of, so it's just boring to me. Straight to F tier. Jim Jones CIA. Suggests that the People's Temple leader was a government asset whose Jonestown colony served as a mind control experiment that went catastrophically wrong. I don't know much about it, so unfortunately it's just going to go down to the bottom. It's going to go down here with these. Stephen Paddock CIA. Theory claims that the 2017 Las Vegas shooter was actually a covert intelligence operative involved in arms deals who was either silenced when an operation went wrong or framed entirely. See, these to me are all really boring entries. Really, if it's got true crime involved really at all, it bores me. I'm not really into crime in general, so a lot of these are kind of just boring to me. So obviously this is me. These will probably be very different for you. Climate change denial. This theory asserts that global warming data is deliberately falsified by scientists and governments to secure research funding, expand regulatory control, or advance a globalist agenda that restricts individual freedoms and national sovereignty. Despite overwhelming scientific consensus about anthropogenic climate change based on multiple independent lines of evidence, proponents claim that natural climate cycles, not human activity, explain observed temperature increases. This one is a deep can of worms. I don't know anything about it, to be honest, but it is a huge deal, and we got to put that up somewhere up here because of the implication. It's all about the implication. It doesn't matter what is the case. It's all about the implication. If there's that big of a reasoning for it, they're doing it to falsify people's. When there's that big of a deception, I love that. That's so cool. That's fascinating that there could be an operation that big of a deception. I don't know. Maybe I'm psychotic or some crazy element to my brain, but that to me is really fascinating. COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, series of covert and illegal operations conducted by the FBI, aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting. Again, this is kind of crime-based, so all the way down, COINTELPRO goes. Just boring to me. It seems realistic. It seems like it's real. And that's boring to me. That's boring. That's so mundane. The Count of Saint Germain, 18th century European aristocrat known for his apparent agelessness, vast knowledge of science and arts, and extraordinary wealth with no clear origin. His mysterious background, claims of living for hundreds of years, and sudden disappearances fueled legends that he had discovered the elixir of life, with some occult traditions believing he continues to live today as an ascended master or immortal adept. Fascinating one. I like this one a lot. Again, it's the implication here. This is a really cool one. Granted, it is a little bit more on the boring end of the vast implications as far as what it would mean. Yes, immortality is pretty cool, but I'm not super big on that anyway. I'm more interested in getting the cool shit while we're here. Let's get some crazy technology. Let's get some superpowers. But this living forever, it's like, oh, I get to see more of everything that we've already seen always. So I would say it's probably a C. We'll go with C there. Next up, we've got a pretty interesting one. The Concave Earth conspiracy theory proposes that humans live on the inside surface of a hollow sphere with the universe contained within the center. Proponents claim that light bends in a way that creates illusion of a convex Earth, and that scientific establishment deliberately conceals the truth from the public. This is a really cool one, both inside in terms of what it represents, but as well as, again, the implications. To hide something that massive would be such a deception, such an enormous deception in so many ways. So with that said, we're going A+. Yeah, I mean, I said it. We're going A+. Artificial moon, concave Earth, good A+. We're going to go with it. So I'm just trying not to trigger like too many alerts on saying words here. So I'm not going to say what this one is, but you can read it here if you wanted to read it. This is just one I don't want to touch. I don't want to touch. It's boring to me, and if it is what it says it is, it didn't do super well. Unless that's what its intention was, to slightly disrupt. I don't know. I don't want to. Yeah, and for the same reason, it's gonna be right here. Both of these C words are gonna be all the way down in F for me. Pretty boring stuff. Next up, the Cult of Saturn. Theory claiming that global elites secretly worship the planet Saturn as a deity, using its symbolism in corporate logos and media to broadcast their allegiance. They believe this ancient Saturnian worship involves ritualistic practices and hidden control mechanisms that influence modern society. Very cool stuff. I like this one, and I like the logo. I think it's a pretty slick logo, and it would be pretty grand scale of a deception as well. Pretty enormous amounts of work would go into that. We're going to have to put that up a little bit higher, I think. Dare we go up to A for this? Do we go to A tier for Cult of Saturn? I mean, it looks like an A right there, don't it? We're going with A tier for Cult of Saturn. Let's lock it in. Ooh, we got a big one coming up. Denver International Airport, DIA. Subject of numerous conspiracy theories that claim it contains secret underground facilities, sinister artwork, and mysterious symbols supposedly connected to the New World Order or the Illuminati. Conspiracy theorists point to the airport's unusual murals, gargoyle statues, dedication capstone with Masonic symbols, and rumors of extensive underground tunnels. Ooh, now having been to Denver International Airport multiple times, really, really cool place. That is way up there for me. And you can look into a lot of it. There's a lot of strange happenings. A lot went way over budget, took longer than expected. There's a lot of things that are really strange involving in this. And I think that this is among the most damning of the conspiracies, to the point where they even poke it themselves. They even make little mockeries of it themselves. Easy A+, I would say. That's bordering even S tier. But I'm just going to have to go with A+, probably low A+, because these are more elaborate, but I'm just partial. I'm just fond of the DIA conspiracy, having been to it myself and having heard some crazy stories. I remember one story on Coast to Coast where he was talking about a story on going to an underground tunnel there, and oh man, cool stuff. I really think, yeah, A+, A+. Next up, the Despair Code. The Despair Code is interesting, especially because there are different ways to package it, as far as just the essential gist of it, I believe, is just something that will permanently impact you once you learn it or hear it or consume it in some way. And there's a few different ways that can extrapolate a punishment from that. So with that said, I think it's fairly interesting to me. What's the other one? I want to say it's similar to like Rocco's Basilisk. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what the Despair Code is. But either way, I think it's gonna have a home in the C tier. Doveland, Wisconsin. Super interesting one to me. Doveland is interesting because of what it represents. The concept of a city that just fell off, just somehow completely fell off the radar. People, like, an awkward amount of circumstances appeared that somehow it just lost memory. And like, we have lost media, and why couldn't we have lost cities? So as far as, Doveland, Wisconsin, a city that just kind of randomly disappears, or Mandela Effects or something, we're going to go with C, I think. Next up, we have Dark Utopia. So this is one I had to actually look up. This theory claims that North Korea secretly possesses advanced technology and futuristic cities hidden from satellite surveillance, where the elite enjoy luxurious living conditions while projecting an image of poverty to the outside world. Believers point to occasional glimpses of these supposed developments in state media as evidence, suggesting that Western powers deliberately suppress knowledge of North Korea's technological achievements to maintain geopolitical narratives. This one to me again one of those absolutely massive implications, and it's fascinating. A+ or A? Ooh, I think we have to go with A tier, but it is going to be top A tier. And it is really, really close to A+, but we'll just go with this here. And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give it an A tier because I had to look it up. If I knew what it was just right by the look of it, I would give it an A+. That's the sole distinguishment there. Next up, we have DUMBs. Oh, this is a good one. I love deep underground military bases. This is probably... Oh, what does this one do? This one is probably an A. This one's probably A. Top A. Yeah, even above Dark Utopia. I think deep underground military bases, a one with a... Oh, gosh, it could be even A+. Yeah, we're going A+, I think. This one's super cool to me. The implications are so vast, they could be all over the world. They are limitless in how extensive they are and the budget that they have. And because they would be so separated from normal humanity, they could have unlimited technology, unlimited resources, any number of things that would be completely magic to us. So I think deep underground military bases, yeah, easy A+ for me, yeah. Elders of Hibernia, another one I had to look up. Theory that alleges that an ancient Celtic secret society from Ireland has manipulated European politics for centuries, preserving pre-Christian knowledge and rituals while infiltrating governments and financial institutions to advance their own hidden agenda. Kind of boring. I think secret societies, for the most part in general, are kind of boring. Not necessarily because they are, just because they're secret. To me, it's almost like going to a magic show and not seeing any of the magic tricks at all. Not even seeing the illusions. You just go there and you're like, oh yeah, there's a magic show going on. Well, can I see it? No, it's all secret. Okay, well then I can't enjoy it then. That's I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but because you can only see what's on the surface, just the shield or, the art or something, just the oaths, you can really only see surface level indications of what secret societies are all about for the most part. So with that, most of them are boring. And this is a boring one to me, definitely. So we're going full stop F. Next up is the Elders of Zion. Looks like another secret society. Centers on a document called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which purports to outline a Jewish plan for global control through manipulation of economies, governments, and media. This looks like the big J one that everybody talks about. I don't know. It's boring. Going to F. I don't know. This seems like a little bit of the just boring to me personally. Just kind of secret society-y. Not really much to base off of. Elisa Lam. This is a popular one, but to me personally, this is kind of for it being crime / paranormal-y, this is on the cooler side of that because it is an unexplained situation, and we've all seen it to death, I'm sure by now, how many times we've seen the footage of this girl stepping in the elevator and not knowing what's going on from there. So I'm going to give it a high F, but it is on the F scale for me, on the F side. Enron still exists. Claims that despite its famous 2001 bankruptcy and dissolution, the energy company continues to operate in secret through shell corporations and insider networks that preserved its core operations and assets. I'm going to go with a low D tier because it's one of those things where it's like, it's probably true. Who knows? It's that kind of stuff is kind of boring to me, but it at the same time, there's a level of deception there, or maybe not even deception so much as like they just don't give a shit. And to me, for some reason, that is really fascinating to me. It's almost like, and here's another thing. I don't think that they talk about Freemasons at all on this chart, so that's kind of a bummer. But in general, their code, or allegedly, is they mock you. They have to get your permission by showing you something to your face, and by you not disagreeing with what they're doing, you are essentially consenting. And the whole putting it out in front of you and mocking you to your face is, I don't know why, it's kind of fascinating to me. They're just saying, hey, we're playing this game whether you like it or not, and we're winning. It's like, okay, all right, you win. Anyway, but with that said, yeah, Enron, we'll go low D tier. I don't want to put everything in the F tier, but I mean the layer of deception there and the layer of arrogance is admirable, I guess. I don't know. Epstein Alive. Okay. We're going to go right there with low D tier as well. I'm not super interested in this figure, this individual. It's kind of boring to me. Kind of in the realm of crime, and I just The connections with the individual, that's where things get a little bit more interesting. And I'm not even going to put this super high. Maybe once upon a time it may have been higher on the scale, but lately it almost seems like it's more of just hey, check this out. You want to, it's more of a distraction than anything these days. So I don't know. I'm going to give the connections here a C, while the concept of the individual being alive a D tier. That's not quite as juicy of a conspiracy to me. Extraterrestrial UFOs. All right, so this is a big one for me personally, but I understand that maybe like 4 or 5 other people actually find this interesting in the entire world. It seems like this concept is just very boring to a lot of people, and I expect that a lot of this stuff is boring to most people in general because this is kind of eccentric, esoteric. It's almost occult knowledge. I don't know what you want to describe. This is very niche stuff in general. I don't think I've ever really met anybody that's I could fully explain or have a deep discussion with this stuff on. But in general, I feel extraterrestrials and extraterrestrial UFOs in particular is very surface level when it comes to the grander scale of conspiracies. Like it's like baby's first conspiracy, it's the X-Files. That's what I think of. I can hear the theme song play right now, and that's what I think of. That's what introduced me to the concept of extraterrestrial beings. But with that said, when I would try to share this interest and passion with other people in my life, my day-to-day, school, work, wherever, I would try to share this passion, and nobody would really reciprocate. Nobody would mirror it. Nobody really had that equal passion as me. And that's fine. You know, I don't expect everybody to have that same level of passion. But personally, this is going to be up there for me. I think this is a fascinating one, and I'm super biased. Maybe once upon a time, it would have been an S tier. But unfortunately, lately, we should have more information about it, and we don't. And it really just does feel like there is a deliberate suppression of knowledge for whatever reason. And for that reason, it just kind of fell off for me. So what was once an S tier for me is now an A tier. Extraterrestrial UFOs. Still a really cool conspiracy to me, but has fallen out of favor, unfortunately, over the last maybe dozen years. All right, a granddaddy one here. Flat Earth. I'm a little bit lost for words for this one. This one is a granddaddy. This is a grandfather conspiracy here. It's amazing how many people will still adamantly fight tooth and nail for this Flat Earth conspiracy. How are there that many people that will actively argue that this is truthful? And realistically, if you get an airplane and you look out, it looks like a flat Earth. I'm sorry, I haven't seen the curve. They say we're moving over 1,000 miles an hour. We can't feel it. Yes, perspective. Okay. There are so many things that make me question this. And it's one that's so big, it's so vast, that it's not just as simple as, oh, okay, maybe it's true. No. It's, if that's true, the entire structure of our world and society is at question of being a fabrication. So this to me is S tier. It doesn't matter what you believe. The fact that there are this many people that still avidly question it, it is fascinating to me. I love this. Flat Earth, SSS plus tier, great conspiracy. Love it. Next up, fluoride. This one's another fairly popular conspiracy. Claims that governments add fluoride to public water supplies not for dental health, but as a form of mind control or population docility. It suggests fluoridation is a covert operation designed to chemically subdue citizens, despite extensive scientific evidence supporting fluoride's safety and effectiveness in preventing tooth decay. And they don't say it in this, but another big thing is that it suppresses or it calcifies your third eye. And that's another big proponent for, why they say it's a conspiracy. Who knows? Definitely an interesting one that has a lot of elements, a lot of layers to it. I'm going to have to go with a B on this one, I think, because it's a pretty grand scale one, and it's the implications, especially the third eye concept, really intrigues me. So I'm going to have to go actually with top of the line B, right above chemtrails. Next up, Franklin Credit Union. Theory that centers on the allegations that the high-ranking politicians and business leaders were involved in, we're going to go with bottom, because I don't, this is, again, I'm not interested in all of these crimey kind of ones, especially with various, I'm not going to get into all that. It just bores me, and I don't want to touch that. That topic, I'm going to keep away from that with a 10-foot pole for a number of reasons. Next up, Gladio and Gladio B. Theories claim that NATO operated clandestine stay-behind paramilitary organizations during the Cold War that allegedly orchestrated terrorist attacks to discredit political opponents. Kind of a boring one. Seems kind of, boring to me. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now we're getting to some good ones. The Great Ice Ball Earth Theory. Ooh, fun. This theory proposes that our government was once completely frozen over from pole to pole during ancient geological periods, creating a global glacial environment. This controversial theory suggests Earth experienced extreme climate shifts that temporarily transformed it into a snowball-like planet, with proponents citing geological evidence of ancient glaciation at what were then equatorial regions. This one is a cool theory to me. I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool in terms of the science behind it, but again, it's the concept of how drastic of a difference this would be. We'll probably have to go with probably right above Anunnaki with this in the C. Although I do kind of like it more than climate change denial for whatever reason. We're gonna move it up right there. Okay, so we'll go in B tier. That seems like a good fit now that I think about it. Next up, we have grays are dolphins. This theory suggests that the infamous gray aliens commonly reported in abduction cases are actually highly evolved dolphins from Earth's future who have developed time travel technology. The fringe hypothesis claims dolphins' intelligence eventually led to their transformation into humanoid beings with enlarged brains, explaining the greys' bulbous heads and their apparent interest in human genetic material. This is a fun one. So with this, I'm a fan of aliens and gray aliens. Like, this whole concept to me in general is really fascinating. So I am going to be biased here. But as far as grays being dolphins, yeah, I think we're going to go one tier lower here and just throw that right above fluoride. It's still pretty decently up, and there's a big reason that I'm putting it right here, because up next we have grays equal future humans. Oh, that is such a cool theory. It's pretty common now. These, at one point in my naive life early on, I heard this theory and it was so profound. They're future versions of us. It all makes sense now. Whether or not it's profound anymore, it's still a really fascinating concept to me. So the concept of these gray aliens really just being future humans, we're going to have to put that up there. I'm pretty sure. No, I'm not going to put it up there with A+. We're just going to throw it there on A. But it is going to be way up there. The grays equal dolphin heads the B tier, and the grays equal human heads the A tier. I like it. Okay. Next up, HARP weather control. Another one that's been done to death. And I would say normally that this would be, something like this would be done in the F tier, but it's a little bit cooler than just a secret covert op like this because of, again, the implications. How many different things could have been responsible at the hands of HARP or other similar instruments? We're going to go ahead and throw that into C tier, low C tier, I think. We got another of my favorites coming up, Hollow Earth. I think Hollow Earth, aka Agartha, is such a fascinating concept to me. This is even more interesting than Concave Earth to me. Matter of fact, dare I say, no, not quite as high as Artificial Moon, but it is above Concave Earth. It is above Deep Underground Military Bases, above DIA. Yeah, we're going to go A+, Hollow Earth. It's a fascinating theory to me, especially when you look at the stuff with individuals like Admiral Byrd and a lot of the things that was allegedly said around there. I don't know. I don't want to get into it too much. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of it. Really cool stuff, though. Definitely A+ for Hollow Earth. Next up, the Human-Manatee Connection. This theory suggests that manatees are genetically modified humans created by ancient advanced civilizations for unknown purposes. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than just the basic of what it seems right now. We're not going to throw it in F, because I recall when I recovered it in the past, it actually stuck out to me more than just what it sounds like right there. So we're going to go put it in the bottom of D tier there. All right, next up, Illuminati in parentheses, bad guys. Ooh, okay, so there's going to be two different variants of this. The first one is Illuminati, as in just the standard, these guys are the ones that pull the strings, and they're secretly the bad guys. Suggests a secret organization of powerful individuals manipulates global events and institutions to further their agenda of world dominations. Some believe the group uses symbols in popular culture and currency as signals of their influence, while maintaining hidden control over governments, financial systems, and entertainment industries. This is another one. So I guess this is kind of encompassing for the Freemasons, because that's talking about a lot of the same aspects. Illuminati being the bad guys. I mean, the thing is, Illuminati is synonymous with conspiracy theories, so you can't really deny the significance of the conspiracy. So I think it's gonna have to be an A+, because you can't deny how vast it would be, how deep and complex and intricate and layered it would be, whether or not these guys are, good or bad. But with that said, let's move down to the second part of it, the Illuminati being the good guys. See this here, the Illuminati being the good guys, this is going all the way up to position 1, because this right here kind of makes sense to me. As sad as it is, it almost does feel like humanity needs assistance. Humanity needs guidance. We can think whoever or whatever above or below or whatever should be it. I think people need some sort of guidance. Perhaps the Illuminati are genuinely trying to get humanity to be in a better position, and the only way that they know how is to deceive, because for whatever reason, it's for the best. And I believe it was actually like this in the X-Files, where the secret society, the bad guys, you come to find out are actually trying to save humanity against the evil aliens that were secretly invading and trying to impact people with a disease of some kind. But the Illuminati were actually the good guys, and they were trying to save humanity in whatever way they could. So maybe that's why this sticks out to me so much. I think it's much more likely that the Illuminati would be bad, for better or worse. It's kind of the ultimate backfire, the ultimate irony that the Illuminati would be the good guys. To me, it's just interesting. I like it. Next up, the Iraqi Stargate. This is another fairly old one. I think I remember being super young and seeing this on articles of the crazy ads that you saw in the magazines, the tabloids of, they had the Bat Boy one week and then the Iraqi Stargate the next week, and just crazy stuff like that. This one's all right. I'm going to have to go with probably up near the top of B. I think that's an interesting one. Just hidden technology in general is pretty fascinating to me, but the fact that it would just be a Stargate, it's kind of eh. So we'll go decently high B tier. JFK Assassination Accidental. This is an interesting one. Pretty self-explanatory here. We're gonna actually go bottom of B tier. I would definitely rate this one higher than the CIA assassination, which we've recently heard more about. But I'm gonna have to go with it being an accident being higher than the CIA did it. I actually think that there are even more interesting JFK theories that aren't listed here that would be higher up for me. But obviously we could be here all day, every day, constantly rating the hundreds and hundreds of different conspiracies. Next up, John Titor, alleged time traveler. This one is it's kind of boring. I don't want to give it an F, but I would have to give it probably a high D tier. I think time travel in general is a fairly cool concept, so that's kind of giving it a little bit of saving grace there. Claimed to be a time traveler from 2036 who posted on internet forums between 2000 and 2001, sharing predictions about future events and details about his time machine. So yeah, a lot of it failed to materialize, so it's kind of whatever. I think what was it, Val? Gosh, I can't remember the name of the alien. Valiant Thor. So Valiant Thor is not on here, and Valiant Thor, that's who I was initially thinking of when I saw John Titor. Valiant Thor is a really fascinating conspiracy. I would put that one up higher than John Titor, but again, Valiant Thor is not on the list. So next up, Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son. This is a really interesting one, and the implications run super, super deep. So you can think what you will of the guy. This is a pretty interesting conspiracy to me. We're going to go bottom of A tier, I think, because again, the implications of this one, the layers, the amount of time and preparation, and the deception. Ooh, it's admirable. You cocky mofos. That's wild. If that were true, ooh, that's a big one. Kroll did 9/11. I don't know what this one is. We're gonna go there. Mandela Effect. Oh man. See, that one is way, way up here. Do we go? I think a Mandela Effect is an A+. Where at on here, I'm not sure. Because Mandela Effect is one of the few things where I have experience with. I can remember certain things differently from my original timeline. Or at least that's what my memories do for me and share with me. I'm going to have to go with... Yeah, I think we're going to go... Oh, this is a tough one. I'm putting so much effort into this, guys. You have no idea. We're going to go right in between these. We're going to split up the Earth theories, and we're going to break them up with a Mandela Effect. I like it. Next up, Martian Garden of Eden. The theory proposes that Mars once harbored a paradise-like ecosystem where life originated before being transported to Earth via meteorites. Some proponents suggest ancient Martian structures visible in NASA photographs are remnants of the advanced biosphere. This is a fun one. We're going to go up there probably to Garden of Eden. We're going to go with C tier, I think. We'll probably... No. We'll do right above this one. And I think I'm actually going to move Doveland up a little bit there. There we go. I like it. Next up, Martian slave colonies. Okay, so here we go. Here we're getting into the juicy stuff. Martian slave colonies. This theory claims that governments or corporations have secretly established bases on Mars, where kidnapped humans are forced to work in harsh conditions. This one, it's fascinating. It's big. That's a big implication there. It's also horrifying. No, we'll put that right behind Doveland, I think. That's an interesting one. It's horrifying, it's scary, it's interesting to me. We'll go like basically complete middle tier C with that one, right in the middle. McMartin preschool tunnels involved allegations of ritual abuse occurring in tunnels beneath the school, though official excavations failed to find evidence of such structures. We're gonna go with we'll actually go high F tier because I do kind of like the idea of secret underground tunnels, but I don't know what that is and I don't know anything about it, so we're gonna go F tier. Memphis Rap Sigils. This theory suggests that certain Memphis rap artists from the 90s embedded magical symbols and occult imagery in their music to suggest or to manifest success or spiritual power. Ooh, I think this is cool. This is a really fascinating, anything that involves using symbols or the power of the mind or the power of intention or thoughts or word, all of these things using our secret powers or whatever. I think that's really cool stuff. We're gonna go with a low C tier. You know what? I might even go B tier. Yeah, I think we're gonna go low B tier on this one because it's a pretty fascinating topic to me. Next up, Men in Black, a big one. Oh, Men in Black. Do you guys know where Men in Black goes? You might be able to guess. Oh yeah, all the way to S tier. Men in Black are cool as hell. Above Flat Earth? Golly, it might be above. Yeah. Men in Black is number 1 tier. Okay, I said it. I'm laying it down right now. Obviously, there are different ways of thinking Men in Black. I'm going to go ahead and read off the description here I pulled up. Theory describes mysterious figures in dark suits who allegedly intimidate and silence UFO witnesses and researchers. While some accounts describe them as government agents enforcing secrecy, Other versions portray them as inhuman entities with strange behavior and appearance, serving as the basis for both serious UFO literature and popular entertainment. When I was a kid, Men in Black, the movie, was so big. It was such a massive movie to me. Just the concept. It's wild that was, I don't know, was that a children's movie? Men in Black was a children's movie, but the concept of aliens secretly interacting and coming to our world and living among us, that since that movie has stuck with me and fascinated me. The concept of them living among us in secret and potentially, being monitored and tracked by secret Men in Black organizations. I would love to be privy to all this. Hey, don't tell my family, but if they offered me that position in Men in Black where I just turned to, I completely lost my identity and I'm all of a sudden L, the agent L, and everyone I know and everyone loves me, they think I'm gone, I disappear. Sign me up, okay? Sign me up. I want to know. Don't tell my family. But I'm down. Let's go. Anyway, on to the next one. Military aircraft UFOs. Military aircraft UFOs. This is big. We're going to have to go A tier. And it's crazy because these days, I swear, you pop onto a Reddit thread or something, or a forum thread, and people just casually ask, "Oh, do you think that was man-made? Or what is the? Oh, what is it? It's They ask if it's bolts, if it's woo-woo, or if it's bolts. If it's woo-woo or it's nuts and bolts or something like that. And it's essentially a slang way of asking, do you believe that is a man-made UFO or magical woo-woo, potentially an extraterrestrial or an outer dimensional or some sort of NHI, non-human intelligence? Is that our government-made UFOs or something else? And this right here, the military aircraft UFOs, fascinating concept because it involves hidden technology. I love that stuff. So with that said, golly, does this go A+? No, I think this goes up to, gosh, it might even go top of A. We're gonna go military aircraft UFOs at the top of A. It's taken over the grays equals future humans role. We're going up top of A. MK Ultra coming up next. You know what? MK Ultra, while it is a foundational conspiracy and has pretty much already been confirmed to death. It has already been confirmed to death, so it's kind of boring. But at the same time, it is foundational for a lot of different theories and running. I think we're gonna go C tier with it. Yeah, we're gonna go C tier. Right behind Doveland, I think. We'll give it a nice little spot right in the middle, earning its location. The Montauk Project. Another pretty influential one, but I don't think that one's quite as profound and impactful as MK Ultra. Let's go ahead and read this one just so we got it on. Theory claims that secret government experiments in time travel, teleportation, and mind control were conducted at Camp Hero Montauk, New York during the 70s and 80s. Probably for the same reason that John Tidor's up there, the fact that it dabbles into some pretty cool human potential, time travel, and some secret abilities and stuff. We're going to go ahead and put that at the top of D, but because there doesn't really seem to be a whole lot that goes through it. There's a lot of, you look at Stranger Things, it was inspired by it, so there's definitely a lot that goes into it, but me personally, I think we're going to throw it down in D. All right, moon landing hoax. Okay, this is a good one. I love this theory. Was the entirety of the moon landing a hoax, folks? Was it all a hoax? This one is right up there with S because it's the implications are so vast and profound that it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable how much would go into it being a hoax. You know, what's the expression? It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled. And it's crazy how true that is. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and put this in S tier. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put it right behind Flat Earth because I've never been to the moon. So I don't know really much other than it being the ball in the sky. But I've been to Earth every day, so we're going to go ahead and keep Flat Earth right above it. Next up, Nazi moon bases. Ooh, this one's also pretty self-explanatory. Now, this one's a little bit more specific and honed in on a niche, but it is also fairly plausible with the connections with Nazi and NASA. So I don't want to give it an A. Do I give it an A+? I think we give this one an A+. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and even... probably not quite the back end of it, but we'll go right here. Nazi moon bases, A+ rank. Neanderthal shadow government. Theories suggest that descendants of Neanderthals secretly control world governments and global affairs from behind the scenes. I mean, it's kind of clever. It's, this is, if you think about it, could theoretically be one of the oldest family lineages. I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my hand up here, but, if you take like the family tree and you trace them all the way back to the oldest Neanderthals and, somehow they end up with positions in power, that's kind of an interesting premise. We'll go ahead and throw that up at the top of D, I think, because that's an interesting premise. I like that. Nephilim, another big and popular one. Nephilim, it's almost up there with secret societies where it's just kind of overdone and there are so many different variations and things that are influenced by it, inspired by it, and coincide with it. So it's really hard to... You know what? We're going to put it right by Anunnaki, I think. That's kind of, to me, in my mind, they're almost synonymous. Next up, Nibiru Planet X. Ooh, this is a big one. This is up there with among the first conspiracies that really got me into conspiracies. It's one of the first rabbit holes I got down into. In fact, little anecdote for you guys. The first one that gave me an existential crisis was the 2012 Planet X crazy catastrophe. That put me down a rabbit hole that had me struggling to get back out of, and admittedly really messed up my perspective for a long time until, I matured and, realized that, hey, 2012 wasn't the end of the world, or maybe it was. Anyway, as far as Nibiru Planet X, we're going to go ahead and give it the respect it deserves at a C placement. I think that seems to be pretty good. We're going to go ahead and actually put it up even above MK Ultra, I believe. I still like Doveland a little bit more. I don't know the concept. Moving on. O.J. Simpson Innocent. This one's just kind of clever. I do remember the O.J. Simpson trial actually during the event, and I was really young and I wasn't aware of the significance at the time, but being aware of it now, I find it interesting. We're going to go ahead and put it at the bottom of D tier. Operation Crimson Mist. Theory that alleges that governments use advanced radio frequencies to control crowds and incite violence in developing nations as part of population control experiments. Ooh, I like that. That's a cool theory. Let's go ahead and throw that up on D, probably. It's not like super interesting, but I don't think it's warranting of an F tier. So we'll go with that. Organic black helicopters. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the cool shit. Let's get into this. All right. Organic black helicopters. Let me get it into a little bit of position first. All right. Theory suggests that living biological aircraft resembling helicopters exist as either alien technology or advanced military bioweapons. Adherents claim these sentient machines conduct covert surveillance operations while remaining undetectable to conventional radar systems. Ooh. Ooh, this is a good one. I like this one a lot. Again, this is the one where it's like, this is not realistic at all, but it's fun. It's fun. We're gonna go with A tier on that one, right above Dark Utopia. I like that one. I think it's a really cool theory, and I've even seen some weird videos and pictures and even anecdote stories from people that really made me like, well, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Obviously, I think it's pretty silly too, but we're doing this for fun, guys. This is not too serious. This is all for fun, y'all. Next up, we have Phantom Time Hypothesis. Oh yes, okay. Suggests that approximately 300 years of medieval history were fabricated through document falsification, primarily by Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II. This is a fascinating one, especially because of how much would be involved to make it a reality. I'm normally not into history. I think history and geography are two of the biggest things that I struggle with in school and probably will continue to struggle with because it just doesn't interest me. But the concept of forging the history books is interesting to me. And to be able to see behind the scenes, oh, we're going to take this bit of history and take that out, or take out this, or add this other little bit of history and make somebody that they're not. And this, being able to see inside the inner workings is cool to me. So normally, again, history wouldn't be of interest, but with this, we're going to throw this right behind Anunnaki and Nephilim. That's a pretty cool, pretty decently cool theory. So this next one, for the same reason as before, I don't have any interest in it and I just don't want to touch it at all. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one all the way on the bottom here. And also the concept of it being actually a secret psyop, I don't care as well. It's really boring to me. It's just not of interest to me. So we'll move on. Polybius is of interest to me, however. Let's go ahead and throw it up here initially. So Polybius is almost on the old wives' tale side of things and less on the conspiracy end. But I'll go ahead and read it anyway. Polybius is an alleged arcade game from the early 80s that, according to urban legend, was placed in Oregon arcades for a brief period as part of a psychological experiment conducted by government agencies. The game supposedly caused adverse psychological effects in players, with claims that men in black suits would collect data from the machines, though no verifiable evidence of the game's existence have ever been found. This is interesting because it involves multiple things I'm interested in, games as well as the men in black. Super cool. It's not realistic to me at all, but it's covering an interesting premise. So with that said, I think we're going to go ahead and throw it in the C tier, right behind Nibiru. I think that's a good location for it, right in C tier. Getting into some juicy ones. Coming up next, we have Project Bluebeam. Ooh. Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that claims NASA and the United Nations are planning to simulate an alien invasion or religious rapture using advanced holographic technology to establish a new world religion and global government. Proponents believe this would involve sky projections, mind control technologies, and artificial telepathic communication to convince populations worldwide of supernatural events. This is another old one that's actually really, really popular and has, I would probably say, only gained credence with modern technology. But I mean, this kind of stuff was rumored years ago. So this is another granddaddy for me as far as conspiracy theories. No, that's an A tier, I think. This is an A tier. This is a big one for me. This is another one of those grand scale conspiracies where the implications of it are just too profound to really even think about. Yeah, we'll go second in line with this. I like that. Okay, Project Bluebeam, A tier. Next up, Project Monarch refers to a purported CIA mind control program allegedly extending from MK Ultra. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just do a low tier on this, just because yeah. Coming up next, we have Psychic Vampires. Psychic vampires are individuals believed to drain others' emotional and mental energy through social interaction rather than feeding on physical blood. This concept exists in both metaphysical belief systems and as a psychological metaphor for people who leave others feeling depleted after spending time with them. Well, if that's the case, I'm sure we all know plenty of psychic vampires. This is actually, I think it's kind of, there's a lot of metaphorical meanings of this, but I also believe that there are real, I shouldn't say, I don't believe, guys. I don't believe any of this. I don't believe any of this. Psychic vampires, pretty interesting premise. We're going to go with C tier. Yeah, this seems perfect. This is perfect. I don't know what I was thinking before. This is perfect. Okay. QAnon. QAnon is a far-right conspiracy theory that claims a secret cabal of Satan-worshipping, cannibalistic, operates a global ring and plotted against former President Trump during his term in office. The movement began on fringe internet forums in 2017 with an anonymous figure known as Q posting cryptic messages that followers interpret as revelations about government secrets and impending mass arrests. So we got two entries here regarding this. We have just the standard QAnon entry, and then we have the QAnon was a psyop thing. So to me, it's a pretty interesting premise to begin with. Just the overall concept of it. We're gonna go ahead and, for some reason, the base conspiracy is more interesting than the idea of it being a psyop. I don't know, maybe it's because this is the third psyop we've seen on the list and it's kind of losing its appeal. But I think in general, QAnon's probably a C, and then the idea of it being a psyop is D right behind it. So yeah, we'll lock them in. Reptilians, another big one. It's almost up there with Illuminati in terms of its popularity. Now, I don't think it's an S tier for me. It's really, really far up, though. I think it has to be right behind Artificial Moon. I think Reptilians is in general, the idea of multiple alien or non-human beings is fascinating to me. But to limit it to just reptilians, although there is so much with the They Live documentary and the whole moon projecting the disguise on, I don't know, it's a really cool, fascinating theory. It's really tough for me to not put an S tier, but I think Reptilians has gotten a little bit too cliche for me, so we're gonna leave it in A+, just at a nice A+. Next up, rigged Super Bowls. This is a fun one. Rigged Super Bowls and just in general rigged professional sports is probably B tier. Although maybe A. Oh, you know what? There are so many people that are fans of sports. You know, that thinking about it, okay, so the fact that there are so many fans of professional sports and the amount of people that would be impacted by something so massive and so controversial and something so hard to fake, that one's got to be A tier. But we're gonna go low A tier, but it is a pretty far up there conspiracy. So we'll put it up in the A's. Let's go. Roman Empire never ended. Again, this is kind of there with the secret societies kind of to me, and it's interesting with how much that would go into it, but again, it's kind of history and it's kind of let's go ahead and read it off anyway. Some theorists contend that the Roman Empire never truly collapsed, but instead evolved into modern institutions like the Catholic Church, European legal systems, and global government structures. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and put it in the bottom of D tier because you got to respect how much would go into a situation like that. So I'll give them their respect and not put it in an F tier. Royal family trafficking, boring to me, bottom F. Russiagate. Some political commentators claim that allegations of Russian interference in the 2016, that one's kind of boring to me too. I'm gonna say it's not quite as boring because of how much deception would go into both ends of the spectrum, because it probably would be colluded, because it's not like either side was not aware of it. So we're going to go ahead and put that up at the top of F tier, but it is still kind of boring to me. Next up, sanguine vampires. Some theorists believe that real vampires exist who consume human blood, operating secretly within society as an elite class that manipulates world events. These sanguine vampire theories often suggest that powerful political figures and celebrities belong to ancient bloodlines that require human blood for longevity or supernatural abilities. This is an interesting one and very horrifying and morbid. I love it. This one is going to be... We're getting a lot here to deal with all of these, but we're almost done. We're going to put this one up here at probably near the psychic vampires one, probably right behind it. Yeah, I like that. That location looks perfect. Next up, Sasquatch as a biological unit. So this is just the standard biological entity that we've seen the footage of rolling out in the woods. Honestly, boring, seen to death. It's amazing that has lasted as long as it has. We won't put it at the bottom of F tier because you gotta respect it a little bit. It's like synonymous with conspiracies, so you gotta respect it. And with that said, actually, we're gonna put it at the top of F. Like we'll have it represent the F tier practically. So before we get into the next one regarding Sasquatch, I want to cover another concept that delves into it. So the concept of tulpas involves the belief that individuals can create sentient thought forms or autonomous mental companions through focused meditation and visualization techniques. Some practitioners report that these thought forms develop their own personalities and can interact independently with their creators, though the psychological and metaphysical nature of this phenomenon remains debated. So essentially, people can believe in an entity or a being. They can just think it into existence. They literally think so hard into something that it takes on a life of its own inside of a mind. So it's such a powerful thought that it becomes real and takes its own life. And that's one of my favorite concepts in general. I wanted to skip over and go straight to this one because this one is going way up there for me. I talk about tulpas all the time on my other channel. It's one of my favorite subjects. We're gonna go ahead and put that up in A+. Oh gosh, we're going to S tier, guys. We're going S tier. Might as well. Probably at the end there, but we'll put it in S tier. But the reason I brought up tulpas first was because this next one actually talks about Sasquatch being a tulpa. And so essentially, yeah, with enough people believing in Sasquatch, it creates Sasquatch in reality. That to me is much more interesting than the basic, just Sasquatch is just a hidden, tall creature that we haven't been able to find. And that to me is really boring and mundane. Whereas the idea of us thinking Bigfoot into existence is really exciting and fascinating to me. So we're going to go ahead and put Sasquatch as a tulpa, probably in B tier, I think. We'll go ahead and put that up. Yeah, we'll put that right here. That's a pretty big one to me. I like that. And then the final Sasquatch entry as Sasquatch as a ultra-terrestrial. Some theorists suggest that it may be a being from another dimension that can temporarily manifest in our own reality rather than a conventional alien species. Essentially, some people believe it's from another time period, another reality, another dimension. It's just somehow it teleports from one reality to another. This to me is interesting, but I'm not going to say it's tulpa level interesting. So we're going to go ahead and put this probably in C tier because it's still Bigfoot at the end of the day, and Bigfoot's kind of mid, as they would say. Next up, we have satanic ritual abuse. This one is another abuse on certain individuals that I don't want to discuss. Next up, skinwalkers. Figures in Navajo culture and spiritual beliefs often described as witches or medicine people with a supernatural ability to transform into animals. Ooh, fun stuff. We're gonna have to go ahead and give this one probably C tier? Oh, skinwalkers. So I would probably give it a B tier if it hadn't been done to death in various videos. I feel like the subject has been saturated so much that it kind of lost the appeal to me. So skinwalkers would be a B, but it's down in a C right now, probably right over here near Sasquatch as an ultra-terrestrial. Next up, smiley face killer, boring one. Crimes, boring, no, we're not gonna touch that one. Targeted individuals, here we go. People who believe they are being surveilled, harassed, or manipulated by advanced technology or government agencies through means such as electromagnetic radiation, microwave weapons, or implanted devices. Mental health professionals typically attribute these experiences to delusional disorders. So I'm very familiar with this. I have a CIA agent that's been dedicated to me. He's been listening to me for probably the last 3 years, give or take. Frank, I know you're listening, dude. Go home, spend some time with your wife, dude. This guy. We'll go ahead and put this one at, I think the thing is, like, this is where things start getting scary, because there can be a rabbit hole and a paranoia that comes with this targeted individuals. So it almost comes with its own scapegoat. You know, when somebody starts getting paranoid and starts, oh my gosh, they're all around me, they become easier to control and to manipulate. So it's definitely a rabbit hole that is very scary I can imagine it's very scary to go down. But with that said, I think we'll go ahead and put that as a C, probably high up in the C's, honestly. We'll put that right there. Next up, Time Cube. Oh, this is a fun one. A pseudo-scientific theory created by Jean Ray claiming that each day consists of 4 simultaneous 24-hour days occurring within a single rotation of Earth. The theory, presented on Ray's website from 1997 until his death in 2015, rejected conventional physics and timekeeping while asserting that academic institutions were suppressing this truth. I mean, this is about as amateur of a conspiracy as you can get. This guy was just, I'm sure he was an intelligent guy to some degree, but I just picture him being like, man, I want my name to go down in history books, and I want to make my own stake on history. And he just made up this crazy list of jargon. And you know who I think does it very well these days is Terrence Howard. Like they just say a bunch of scientific jargon that doesn't really make sense, but it also doesn't make sense to the point where you can't really question it, because it's like, what you're saying is too advanced for me, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense. So that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just, it's bullshit, but it's entertaining. So we're gonna go with. I'm gonna give this guy props and put this. I'm gonna give this guy right behind camera heads, right above camera heads, right behind Polybius. Good job, Jean Ray. You got yourself a C placement in the tier chart here. Next up, Titanic inside job. Kind of boring. What, for more money? Nah, boring. But as far as the Titanic never sank because they swapped it with Olympic, the identical sister ship, that's a fun one. We're going to go ahead and put that one at probably the bottom of C tier, I think. I'm pretty sure that this one's basically been disproven at this point, but the concept of that whole thing being faked is really elaborate, and the amount that would go into that would be pretty undeniably impressive. So we're gonna go with Titanic never sank as C rank. Let's go, lock it in. Tolkien is real. All right, unpopular opinion here. I don't like Tolkien's work. I don't deny that his contribution to people and fiction and stories, and definitely undeniably contributed a lot and probably influenced a lot of my favorite stories and IPs and brands and characters. But Tolkien and his works were boring to me. I tried reading his books, I tried watching the movies, they were all boring to me. It's just not my jam. It's not my scene. So with that said, we're going to give it its due, because this is an interesting theory and I'm sure a lot of Tolkien fans are out there, and I'm sorry to disappoint. But yeah, it's going in F tier. Tolkien is real, F tier. TrueAnon PSYOP, I'm tired of the PSYOPs. It's going to the end. Tupac assassinated for communist politics. Again, boring. Bottom F tier. Tupac lives, though. See, now we're getting into some good stuff. All right, Tupac lives. That goes into multiple things. A, they faked his death. And B, is he still alive? Is he acting as somebody else? Was he... And here's another thing. They didn't bring up clones at all, which is something that, could be dabbled into this as well. Theory claims that Tupac Shakur faked his death in '96 and continues to live in seclusion, with some adherents specifically suggesting he adopted the identity of Akil the MC from the hip-hop group Jurassic 5, which, holy shit, if you look at those pictures side by side, they look very similar. It's I don't know. And this is one of those things where it's like, to pull this off, it would be pretty big. I'm going to have to go with top of D tier on this one. I'm not even super into Tupac or his music or anything, but the concept of him having faked his death and potentially living a new life, pretty fascinating. Ultra-terrestrial hypothesis and the ultra-terrestrial UFOs hypothesis. From what I understand, these are more or less the same thing. These UFO and paranormal phenomena originate not from outer space, but from advanced non-human intelligences that have coexisted with humans on Earth throughout history. We're going to go ahead and put both of these pretty much side by side, since they're, from what I understand, the same thing. And where do they go? They go both into B tier. I think that seems about appropriate. Proponents suggest these entities exist in dimensions parallel to our own or operate on different vibrational frequencies, explaining their ability to appear and disappear while maintaining a persistent yet elusive presence in human history. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and put it A tier, actually. Yeah, we're gonna put them in A tier. I changed my mind. We need some more for A, and the concept is pretty cool to me. It's a pretty cool concept, and the implications, again, would be absolutely massive. Last but not least, the Voice to Skull conspiracy claims that our government agencies possess classified technology capable of transmitting voices or sounds directly into a person's head. Ooh. Honestly, it's realistic and kind of boring because of it, but at the same time, the idea of what could be thought of as God speaking to us is kind of surreal potentially, and I could see really messing with the people that were experiencing this, and the idea, are you hearing this? Are you hearing this thing telling you to do these awful things? And that could really mess up some people, I think. So we're actually going to have to put this in C tier, I think. Even though it's kind of a mundane thing and very realistic, the potential and the implications are pretty wild. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and put that right there. And there you have it, guys. The complete conspiracy tier list. We'll go ahead and do a quick run through here. Make sure everything looks good. Yeah, this is great. This all looks right about where I'd expect it to be and my own personal preference. This looks great. A lot of them are in F tier. Hey, it is what it is. This was great. This was a fun experience, guys. I'm curious, where would you guys rate these conspiracies. Obviously, we're not going to see eye to eye on a lot of these guys. And some of these, I'm sure you guys are saying, what the hell are you doing, Maker? That needs to be up or down or whatever. Let me know what you guys think. But with that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the experience with me. It's been a blast, very enjoyable. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, you are appreciated. Be sure to like and subscribe, or don't. And always question everything. Much love. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.